morning! Today we will talk about the environment movement, history, origin, the movement in the world, in Santa Catarina and in our city. Right, Bruna?
Right, to start, did you know that the environmental movement started in the 16th century with the discovery and the first great navigations and the extensions of the world borders to the new continents?
Yes, the Industrial Revolution on 17th century intensified this preoccupation and demand in nature relationship, because with the increase of industries, the drastic environmental changes become perceptive. A classic example of this was the Bristol muffs, which before the revolution were mostly white, but with the factory pollution they became 90% black.
However, the origin of the environmental movement truly began with the sad occurrence of the two atomic bombs launched in Hiroshima and Nagasaki by the United States in World War II, where the humanhood truly began the immense destructive power they can have.
Let's talk a bit more with origin and history with Gabriel and Daimar.
Hello! In 1948 was founded in France the International Union for Conservation of Nature. That was the first organization focused on nature conservation and sustainable development acts. The hippie emergence in the 60s and 70s is considered the most peaceful environmentalist movement ever noticed. They have adopted an ambiental and a nature-bonded lifestyle that were respected ideas by the community. In Brazil, the environmentalist movement had started in the 50s, being the Protection Union for Nature and Environment, founded in 1955 in Rio Grande do Sul, and the Brazilian Foundation for Nature Conservation, founded in 1958 in Rio de Janeiro.
In the 7th decade, Brazilian non-governmental organizations began to come into force, being an example the World Wildlife Fund. The first action on this entity in Brazil happened in Rio de Janeiro in 1971, with the Golden Lion Tamarin Conservation Program, one of the most successful projects of world and starting in the 80th decade come helping projects like the Tamara Project. In 1971, an environmentalist group began to protest against nuclear tests on the USA, beginning the Greenpeace, an NGO which defends environment, promotes peace and realization of people to the present environmental uses, setting new attitudes as the difference to the future of the world.
In 1973, with the idea of development installation of the polo and minerator energy industry in Brazil, was created the Secretaria Especial do Meio Ambiente. Out the route to manage the norm of environment conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. From 1975 to 1998, Chico Mendes, a Brazilian activist, defended the preservation of the Amazonia, environment and rubber trees of the Amazonia. He became known around the world and won the Global 500 for his work. Killed in 1998 by farmers who were against environment actions made by him.
Very interesting.
A serial crisis that Brazil has been suffering is the use of the agrotoxics.
Brazil is one of the countries that more consume agrotoxics in the world.
This has been a problem that affects directly many people, even others than the consumer of the final product.
Now, in our studio, we have a person specializing in the environment movement in our state and city. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning. So, the Brazil is a world power on the environmental issue account of its biodiversity. For that, its position about the theme became really important for the world. But, having been a pioneer in this movement protection, to decide the deforestation, construction, and enlargement of demand for power plants, relaxation of environmental laws, and demarcation of indigenous laws has a high level.
Tell us more about the United Nations Conference and its purpose.
the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. Also known as ECO92, was a conference is head of state, organized by the United Nations and held in July of 1992 in the city of Rio de Janeiro. Its objective was to debate the world environmental problems. The Stockholm Conference of 1972 was a base for ECO92 to having been the first global event about the theme.
What are the main fights in Brazil for NGOs and Greenpeace?
In Brazil, the main fight of the Greenpeace and other NGOs are Amazon. Objective: find a way for develop the region using the jungle sustainably and avoid exploitation of wood from the Amazon. Transgenic food. They consider unacceptable to contaminate generically the environment to benefit few multinationals. Resistant organic pollutants were basically organic substances which contain chlorine in the composition, organic chlorines. Campaigns against the retrench of radioactive waste in the country that comes from nuclear power plants of developed countries. Campaigns for the exchange in the use of gases CFC. The exchange for others that do not cause damages in the ozone layer.
Did you know that one of the first steps of the environmental movement in Santa Catarina probably occurred in Sul, where the state had a strong coal activity that caused many problems for the society, especially in environmental aspects?
It was from 1972 at the United States Conference that the need to preserve the planet's environmental resources began to be discussed, and it was discussed in the media and resulted in good collective and individual actions. However, it was only in 1980 that the first demonstration in Santa Catarina began. Now we will go to the Mirante talk about the NGOs with Gabriel.
The environment movement in Santa Catarina has spread mainly by individual attitudes, the people who had in mind a single objective, to preserve the environment, thus creating a large amount of NGOs by state. Many that were born from a family preservation and to become major preservation parts. For examples of these NGOs are
Wild Space, created in 2010 by Vanessa Canan, with help of friends and relatives, managed to gather, heal, and release a group of Venetian-breasted Amazon. Apremaf. On July 9, 1987 in Ibirama, 19 people concerned about destruction of the Atlantic forest in the Alto Vale do Itajaí region guarded and funded the Association for the Preservation of Environmental and Life, Apremaf. This concern was mainly due to the deforestation that had been occurring in the region's timber industry.
Here with me is Marcia Gerber, one of the founders of the NGO group. She and Simon Felipe realized that much of the garbage of the cities rushed to the sea and began to research in the subject. So, what's your NGO first action?
Good morning. It was in 2010. In the beach of Formação in Florianópolis. With the help of some friends, we collected 8 bags of 100 liters each with garbage. So after that we researched a lot of things and we realized that the garbage situation in the world is much more complex than what we can imagine.
And what did you realize by doing this research and NGOs and garbage collected?
Well, several NGOs work on the mapping of oceanic rubbish that accumulates about 260,000 tons of plastic in the seas. With this, in addition to other actions, we clean beaches in the coast of Santa Catarina. Road, our NGO, started to work in raising awareness in people, especially in schools.
We learned that you have made a documentary. Tell us more about it.
So, the documentary is a drop. There I outline some of the actions carried out by our NGO through interviews with specialists And there we show the critical situation of the oceans around the world. It's very interesting, I recommend.
Thank you, Marcia. Now see with you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Gabriel. We talked about the movement in our country and in our city, but and about the world. To end the newscast today, we have selected 5 countries and the environmental movement of each of them, talking about what is being done there.
European Union. Industry, environmental impact assessment. Protect, conserve and improve the natural capital of the European Union. Protect European cities from resource and risks to environmental health and well-being. Sustainable growth. Sweden. For most Swedes today, sustainability is a way of life. According to Sweden's office website, green technology and public transport. Food with organic, sustainable energy. Norway. Movement for eliminations of carbon. Canada. Clean air, reducing greenhouse gas emissions for automobiles and industry. Sustainable energy, biomass, wind and hydroelectric, oceans and rivers. Iran. They suffer from diseases related to pollution, generating 236 deaths every day due to cancer of the blood, heart and respiratory diseases, among others.
To conclude with all we speak here today, I leave a phrase for reflection of our viewers. We all are here because of coincidence. Do not matter what you believe, the nature is our home since the beginning. We depend on her, not the contrary. If we die, she survives, but if she die, we all die together.